What's up, Lorehounds? It's Kuba back in the Robot Entertainment booth. I'm here again with Ian for Orcs Must Die Unchained. So we've been following this game for about 2 years. You can check out some of our old interviews. We'll link you to them. But, you know, what's going on right now? I just played Tundra, so let's start there. New hero, Frost Mage?
Tundra is kind of a new hero. Tundra was actually, if you were playing during the closed beta or even during the alpha, he was one of the kind of original 17 that we had in there. A little while ago, much like a lot of things in the game we were just talking about, we took a step back on some of our heroes. We had some different designs that we wanted to get in. We wanted to take heroes in a different direction. He was one of the guys that we pulled out. So he's part of the relaunch of kind of this new second version of our heroes.
Yeah, and he's a polar bear, and he's like a hulking mage, but he's actually still melee.
Well, he has a melee and he has a range, and he has the wall, which is pretty cool for trying to figure out. I mean, if you're playing him on survival, it's good for keeping guys from going into the rift, and if you're playing him on siege, it's pretty good for stopping guys from getting away. So it's a pretty multi-purpose, nice hero.
So what have you guys learned from all the community feedback? Because, again, we've had our hands on this game in some incarnation for about 2 years, and we've seen multiple, re-rolls almost in some of the big mechanics.
Yeah, it's funny because we talk about it a lot on the forums, and we'll keep getting kind of an inflow of new players on it. And we tell people, hey, Robot, we take beta seriously. We really put stuff out there, and we talk to fans about it, and we get feedback from people, and we go change things. And constantly we get this thing where people think it's a marketing beta, and they're surprised when things come in a change. We're like, if it's a marketing beta, we've been doing it for like 3 years now. So we had our closed alpha, we went into closed beta, and then now we've finally gone into open beta, and we're still making really big changes to the game. We made a lot of changes to the hero. We were talking a little bit about survival. We've got a lot of feedback on how survival plays out. In our next update, you're going to see a bunch of changes to that. Our meta, actually, right before we went to the Steam open beta, a lot of that came on pretty late. We've gotten a lot of really good testing from players and a lot of really good feedback. So it's another thing that we're spending a lot of time beating on now, and you'll see in our next couple updates. And in addition to the things we're working on there, we kind of have part of our team that is dedicated to listening to that feed and looking for improvements we can do, and we have part of our team that is dedicated to the next incarnate, like the new content that we're putting into the game. So both of those sides of the house are working at the same time. So not only are you getting like new traps, new heroes that are on their way out, just straight up new levels for survival, but you also have us going back and working on all the pieces that we think need a little bit more work to be great.
And early on, Orcs Must Die Unchained was definitely PvP, kind of mobile with the tower defense stuff that you guys have done so well. We're now in PvE. Are you seeing any difference in the communities there?
Yeah, we expected to see a lot more difference in the communities. We've actually seen that there's way more crossover than we ever anticipated. There's a lot more people that play both of the games than we thought we would see. So there are definitely people that only want to play one or only want to play the other. But the numbers that we got back on how many people are playing both, really surprising to us.
And did you ever figure out like why? I mean, it sounds like you guys are pretty far off the expectation.
It is honestly still a complete mystery. It doesn't meet. I'm just being honest. It doesn't meet our expectations. When we sat down to talk about it, we're like, there's obviously going to be a group of people that are going to only play survival. There's going to be a group of people that are only going to play siege, and that's all they're going to care about. And it's just not what we're seeing so far. So we did. I mean, we could be getting some spurious data there from early on. We had a couple systems when we first went to open beta where people were forced to go play one or the other. Based on feedback we got on that, we've pulled all those out. So now you can kind of play the one you want to play. We still see a lot of crossover. So.
And that was like the daily quest that would ask you to go do it in survival or whatnot.
The daily quest, some of the materials that would drop only from one or the other, but you needed them in both. Yeah, so we had a lot of those, and then we ended up changing all that and making it so you could play exactly what you wanted to play and still advance in the game. And we still see a ton of crossover there. It's like way more than I'd like to know why, but I'm happy about it. I like it that there's the more people enjoy both sides of the game, the better it is, right?
Sometimes it's nice to be wrong. So one of the things we've seen in a more recent build is actually the idea of like loot drops. They're not loot, but it's for the metagame. So you guys that's one of the systems you've tinkered with a ton. So where is it going right now?
So that has actually had a lot of feed, and it's one of the things that causes some problems with our meta. We had a lot of inspirations for how we were going to do that system and a lot of things that we liked about it, but I think one of the core problems that we have there is we took a lot of inspiration kind of from MMOs, and we were thinking a little bit about a more complicated crafting thing, and like these materials come from these different places, and you can kind of go, it feels like an MMO-inspired kind of thing. Our game doesn't end up working that way.
Also makes it a bit grindy.
It makes it feel grindy because people, if you look at, I hate having to explain this because nobody cares, right? Like players just want to have fun or not. But if you look at all the things that people get rewarded over the entire course of it, if you're looking at it from a very high level, the whole system is very rewarding and it's not grindy and everything is perfect. But if you look at one individual player in there, out of that whole system, it's like he gets nothing at all that he wants, he gets a ton of stuff, he gets nothing at all that he wants, so it doesn't work on the individual level, but a lot of the data that we got back that was aggregate showed that it was working out really well. It's not, and we have a lot of things that we want to fix out of that setup. And I fundamentally, I don't think that what we did with the drops that are happening in survival that way was really the right way for us to do it. So a lot of the stuff, and you'll see on when we do R2, a lot of the stuff that we've done, our next release, a lot of the stuff that we've done there is to address things that we thought were problems with that setup.
So what are the next big milestones that you guys are trying to hit for R2?
The pieces, for R2 coming up, you'll see new heroes that'll be coming out in R2. You'll see new maps. You'll see that work that I was talking about on survival. It's really a rebalance of survival. You'll see a bunch of things on the meta side. We're continuously trying to find and refine a lot of the issues we find with matchmaking, right? So there's a lot of problems where these people drop or people aren't getting good games. We're trying to make particularly on the survival side, we see a lot of we don't really take skill into account on the survival side to match people. We do a lot more on what level the person is. We need to do more skill in the matchmaking so that players that are hardcore survival players that want to compete, and they're getting matched with like players instead of getting casual people in with them. So we're going to try to do a little bit more work there. Just a ton of bugs, a ton of polish that we keep adding into the game. There's a lot of work in this next release.
So one of the big things is the PvP and the PvE definitely have different play styles. In some ways they'll attract different people even if so many people are crossing over. Do you guys fully design the maps with a different mindset as well, the level design? We
do now. We have we reuse a lot of the stuff because we were trying to just have more maps in play when we started doing the survival stuff. So we use some of the siege maps on the survival side. Not vice versa, but now we have a team that is dedicated just to that, so they're building maps just for the survival side, and we have a team that is building maps just for the siege side. So that doesn't have so much in the way of crossover any longer. Those are kind of split off. They are independent. You need a very different map for siege than you do for survival.
I was about to say, it seems like when you're in that survival mode, the PvE, it's like a lot tighter. You're not running around because you're not trying to run away from other humans and stuff like that.
The challenges there too are when you're putting that map together, you're thinking about how you're going to give somebody a good environment for putting down traps, an interesting trap setup, and you want people to think about this would be a fun place to use this trap, this would be a good place to use this ability, and you're not so much on a siege map doing that same thing. Siege tends to be more general purpose, right? But survival, you have more freedom to try to make unique things.
All right, so it's Orcs Must Die Unchained. As we mentioned in the opening of this, Lorehounds and everyone else in the world has been playing this game in some incarnation for 2 years.
Yeah.
Can we get a release date?
A release date? I don't think we have an official release date yet, but like I've kind of been harping on it for a while. Robot takes beta seriously. We run our beta, we get feedback, we make big changes. We're going to continue to do that until we're happy with what we have. The information and the feedback that we're getting from Steam has done us a lot of good. It's identified a lot of problems. We've fixed a lot of things that were just flat out wrong. We have a couple more that we want to get before we're going to call it open. Not too long.
Not too long. What I just took out of that is Steam set us back another 6 months because of all the information. So thanks, Steam community. Anyways, we'll see you guys on twitch.tv/Lorehound for free-to-play Friday with Orcs Must Die Unchained. Thanks, Ian.
Thank you.